casting of Dave and the casting of Amrita, and we want to reveal that at the right time. We felt if we take on the most challenging part of the film first, it would just be great overall and would kind of teach us how to make this film.
ये कहानी है इन सारे अस्त्रों के देवता की, ब्रह्मास्त्र.
Hi everyone, this is Ayan Mukerji. I am the writer-director of Brahmastra. It didn't happen in an instant just like that. It was a process that went on over a few years, starting all the way back in 2011, which continued all the way till we started filming Brahmastra 1 in 2018. That imagination and building of world continued even as we were shooting, because the shoot went on for a couple of years after that. How I built the world within this large period of time was that I took inspiration from certain key places to make this film. Indian culture, Indian spirituality, Indian roots, as you know, everybody knows the title of the film, Brahmastra, a weapon from Indian mythological, historical stories which has immense power in it. I took some inspiration from Western movie series which had done what I was doing in Brahmastra. You know, sort of created this big franchise, original fantasy world of storytelling. I think the story of the film is very rooted in me and in India and in my experiences having lived here. But in order to make the film, we needed support from places outside of India. The visual effects have been led by a company called Double Negative, which is also in a way connected with producing the film. That company is based out of London. So we spent a lot of time in London. The key action director on the film is a man called Dan Bradley who lives in LA. The film took us to Los Angeles a lot. The rest of the action crew was based out of Bulgaria. So we spent a lot of time in Bulgaria. Ranbir's sort of movement in the film and how he connects with fire was developed by a man from Israel called Ido Portal. So the film took us to Tel Aviv in Israel to work with him, and to Berlin. The music orchestra of the film was all recorded in Vienna in Austria. So the film took us there. So yeah, the film took us all over the globe in a way. One of the key things that you have to start off with is obviously coming up with some concept art, some images that will then get translated through your visual effects teams onto the big screen. Overall, approaching the VFX process made me use my visual imagination a lot more. And I think that's one of the big things I've taken away from the process of Brahmastra. The climax of Brahmastra, it's a very long, sort of epic, extended climax, 20-25 minutes. I knew even on paper, before we started filming the movie, when we were just planning it, we started the shoot of Brahmastra with this climax, which is very unusual for any film. We felt if we take on the most challenging part of the film first, it would just be great overall and would kind of teach us how to make this film. It's a sequence that takes place mostly at night in and around the Guru's ashram in the story, which is set in a place like Manali in the mountains of India. There's all these like energies whizzing past, all the energies interact with each other in the climax, and all those energies obviously had to be created. We made a decision. We were going to film the climax completely on an indoor studio stage, completely against blue screen. It needed a lot of technical support to sort of get the shots that we needed to give to the visual effects guys. For that, we needed like cameras that could move really fast, almost like Shiva's fire moves in the film, and we needed to create like spectacular lighting to kind of simulate the lighting of what it's like when the Brahmastra wakes up. We realized that we were running into trouble doing that in India, and so we moved this setup completely to Bulgaria. We were able to bring in a lot of resources from different parts of Europe into Bulgaria, and so we filmed the climax over a period of 2 months in Sofia in Bulgaria, and that was the beginning of our film, with like probably our biggest crew that we ever had, technical crew that ever worked on the film. And this was in the beginning of 2018. And then 3 years later, we were still working on finishing the visual effects for that sequence. Yeah, that was our climax, essentially. One, I'm very proud that in the root of Brahmastra and then beyond it, the Astraverse, we are aiming to take so much inspiration from just Indian roots. Like a whole younger generation is just going to come in and watch Brahmastra for fun, but through it get more excited to explore just Indian spirituality. So that's one. Essentially, Brahmastra is an original piece of fantasy writing. A lot of the big films in the West that we admire today, like they're all based on comic books and literature that were already created. Brahmastra, like Star Wars and like Avatar, is unique in that it is completely original fantasy. Me and my team survived and have delivered Brahmastra overall. You know, there was so many moments while making this film where I knew that like we couldn't see the end of it. We almost were like, it's too far off. Like for years we were just working without seeing the finish line of the film. I know the number of mountains that we've had to climb before we climbed this eventual mountain and delivered Brahmastra. So what I can't tell you about part 2 and 3 right now is obviously the story of Dev, the casting of Dev and the casting of Amrita, and we want to reveal that at the right time. What I can tell you is that we will be continuing where the story has left off with Shiva and Isha and the Guru, but at the same time we'll also be delving much deeper into Dev and Amrita's backstory, along with Dev being sort of reborn and in this present time as well. Now that the concepts are basically established, that there is a group called the Brahmāstra, which protects all these like different astras, we're going to have a much bigger, much more dramatic, much more juicy part 2 and part 3. Brahmastra part 1 is now finally streaming on Disney Plus Hotstar in Hindi, but of course also in Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam and Kannada. Please do watch it and don't forget to rate it on IMDb once you do.